Good morning. Give it a few and let some people get on here. Get some active people in here. If you're open-minded on this topic or you have open-minded friends, just please go ahead and share this video for your friends. Thanks to everybody who's getting on here and joining live. Good morning. I'm going to talk again a little more about concave Earth, the little things I left out yesterday. Let some more people join on here. If you're open-minded or you have open-minded friends, just go ahead and share this on your wall. Let your friends come and join the conversation. Good afternoon, Tyra. Good morning, Troy. Good morning, Elvira. Good morning, Sharda. Good morning, Kira. I don't know if that's pronounced right. Sorry. Okay, so I'm going to get into it. I won't wait for anybody else. But concave Earth, hollow Earth, an enclosed universe, okay? There's only one reason why people are still coming up with theories of our Earth and our universe. Some people think that there are people who are just nutty and just like the conspiracy. Some people think that they just can't accept it's a globe and we're outside of it. And others get to the bottom of it and we realize scientists don't even know what we're living inside of. The scientists that we're getting our information from couldn't even tell you where we live. This is why we still have people trying to get to the bottom of where we live, what our universe is, what it's made of, why we are. This is why we still have people trying to come up with new theories, because NASA and these people who are giving us our information still don't have it figured out like we think they do. The bottom line is we are inside of a structure. Whether we're outside of a ball or inside of a ball, we're still inside of a structure being held in. Think about the picture that you get on your television set, whether it's an old television or a new television. You have a picture followed by your structure that's supporting it, that's holding it together. So no matter where you will have a picture, there's always going to be an outside structure, which I would call a matrix. The matrix, this is the definition too, is an environment or material in which something develops. That's one definition. The second definition is a surrounding medium or structure. A surrounding medium or structure. So we're living inside of this ball, surrounded by our matrix. Our matrix is what's supporting us, keeping us together. Think about it. When you hammer a nail into a wall, you have to have something holding that nail in place. The walls, the structure, the matrix. You have to have something holding things together, always. It's the same principle with your micro and macro scales. That's why I'm using a television as an example. Picture a television set. The picture you're getting is being held together by a structure. Now, think of this on a much larger scale, macro. The picture you're inside of is being held together by some type of structure. It has to be. Because again, you can't just have a nail floating in thin air. There has to be something holding it together, something holding it in place. I'm going to use more of these pictures as a reference, try and make some more connections. But again, the scientists and the people who we're paying millions, if not billions of dollars to give us our information about where we're living don't even know. This is why people like me and other people are still trying to get to the bottom of it. And all we can logically do is eliminate things that we know aren't. There's reasons we haven't been back to the moon. There's reasons our grandparents even said they thought it was fake. We should be asking so many questions about why they don't know where we're still living, why they have to fake it. This is an official picture released by NASA, and remember I said, wherever you have a picture, you have to have a structure, a matrix, holding it together. This is a picture released by NASA, official. You can go on nasa.gov. This is a picture of our entire universe in one picture. It's also a computer-generated image. It's made from a computer, mind you, because we couldn't send anything outside of our solar system to take a picture of the next galaxy and actually get that picture back. So what makes you think they could send something this far and take a picture of the entirety? One, they couldn't, and two, like I said, they don't even know where we're living at. This is all a guess. This is all what they're trying to give us as a distraction. But again, pay attention to the shape and the structure. It's a circle, a sphere, with a little center point, if you notice that, a little black void there. A little black void in the center, just like you see one here. There's always a center point. There's always the center, which is source. So you take this image from nasa.gov, and then look at this. It's the same thing, literally. Inner space, a surrounding structure, the matrix holding it all together, a surrounding structure, a matrix holding it all together. That's what keeps your picture intact. That's what keeps our reality intact. Same way we have anything. Just, again, a TV. There has to be something holding that picture together. This is the wheel-working motion of our universe Tesla spoke of. And I've said this many times before, but you can only have phenomenon like this as far as every single thing in our universe, including us calculating time itself, in a wheel-working motion when we are simply inside of one. The only way possible that things can work in a wheel-working motion is if we are inside of one. And again, we have to feature in dimension with creation. This is Einstein's theory. I have this upside down. Gee, somebody should have told me. Here's another picture of where we supposedly live. This is in all of our children's textbooks. This is in all of our textbooks. This is what we learned. There is a central sun that doesn't move, right? That's fixed and everything rotates around it. That's what they tell us. All you have to do is match the microcosm to the macrocosm again. The two are one. The two are one. So you don't flip anything. You don't change anything. When you're studying the microcosmic aspect, which is you, your own body, you match it to the outside, the universe. You came from the universe. If there's a code to creation for the universe, there's a code to creation in us. And it's very apparent. Look at your eye. Why do we have a black pupil in the center? Think about it. We didn't have to have this. Our Creator put this here. Whatever created us, designed us from the macrocosmic aspect, put that there because it was already featured in our universe. Space. Inside. Everything begins from the point and expands out. I just posted a status about that, about the Wizard of Oz. Most people don't get this. They don't catch on to that. But what it's representing, in my opinion, is she's beginning from a spiral. If you notice that, when she's following the yellow brick road, when she first begins, there's a center point. And she's walking from that very center point outward, following the yellow brick road, which is manifestation, creation, everything coming from a void, from that center point out. And she's getting lost in her own creation, her own thoughts, her own self. Because that's what we have to do. We have to get lost only to find that what we're looking for we already have, because we are. The micro and the macro are two and one of the same. So that's what I'm saying. You have to study either yourself or the universe, get lost in it, only to realize it's you. It's you you're looking at on a much larger scale. For all we know, we could be inside of a brain, a human heart, a human mind. Because again, when you break this down, I said this in my live yesterday, it matches my face right here exactly to the T. There's a central source, which is your pineal gland, and there's two hemispheres. Just like there's two hemispheres to the brain, two sides to everything, left hand, right hand. It matches perfectly. And that's why I say this isn't on accident. This is the creation. This is the creator coding its little fingerprint into its creation. When you find repeating patterns in nature, in the universe, in the microcosmic creations, and they're repeating, we should be paying attention to them. We shouldn't be trying to change them or make them things that they're not. From micro to macro means just that. As above, so below. The two are literally one. I'm sorry about this. I need to get a tripod or something, but this is what Einstein proposed right here. That we were outside, and again, remember, they took the black pupil from our eye and they threw it outside of us. They made the earth the black pupil. The earth is the center now, and space is outside of us. So that's what they've done here. That's what's happened here. And this is what's so important. When you're studying Einstein, it's vital to mention that this man did not invent anything behind his theories. He had theories on what gravity were. He invented nothing behind them. Tesla, on the other hand, disagreed with his idea of gravity. He said we ignorantly call it gravity. What we should be calling it, he thought of it as a form of universal compression. And he said we ignorantly have called it gravity. But when you have magnets that attract, they only attract together due to field coherency. Take two magnets and try and stick them together when they attract, when they're opposites, and they attract. That's a very apparent force that your eye is not seeing. That's magnetic attraction. Now, their opposite is magnetic repulsion, which is incoherency. If magnets attract due to field coherency, the opposite is incoherency. So, what's causing everything to push away from the center point? Again, the center point. What's causing everything to push out into the edges? Because we're being pressed into the earth, remember? That's why when we jump, we're pushed back down by something. There's a ride at the fair that I'm sure everyone is familiar with called the Gravitron. It works the exact opposite way as gravity is described, as gravity is explained. And some people will laugh at that, but to me, how much more obvious could it get? When you spin something fast enough, that's the Gravitron ride. That's what happens. I don't know if anyone on here has ever been on the ride, but I have. Me and my cousin, we like to get on the ride and flip ourselves upside down, and you're spinning so fast, your body is suspended upside down. Literally, you're stuck to the inside walls because you're spinning so fast. And that's not how it's working here. Because remember, the earth is not moving. The earth is stationary. It's the inner celestial sphere that's moving. Just like this right here. See? Your rotor is what rotates on the inside, your rotor, and it uses the field on the outside to keep it going. It's self-perpetual, to go forever. The stator is your stationary earth, and the rotor uses the field of the stator to keep its rotation constant. This is where we got 0-point energy from, people. 0-point energy, again, where did we find 0-point energy? We acknowledge the point to creation. By polarizing the ether, you can extract electricity straight from the sky, straight from what we're calling the air. The space between me and my phone right now, there's electricity. By polarizing it, which is what Tesla did, you can extract the electricity straight from the air. By moving a magnetic field, you generate by moving an electric field, you generate a magnetic field, and vice versa. By moving a magnetic field, you generate an electric field, thus giving you electromagnetics. Not anti-gravity, electromagnetics, which is what UFO technology is. But what's suspending us into the earth and pressing us into the earth is just that. It's incoherency. When you try and take, I just spoke about this yesterday, when you try and take two magnets that are likewise, remember, the fields are incoherent, and you try taking those two magnets and physically forcing them into the center point, they will never, you'll feel the force being pushed to the outside. Take two magnets and try making them attract together. You'll see them push apart, push apart, push apart. And you'll notice where they attract is at the centrifugal diverging edge. They're pushed away from center into the centrifugal diverging edge, right into the edge. And that's the same concept that's happening with the Earth, but on a much larger scale. There's somebody who, I want to cover this too. There's many people asking if I can make a model up to back this, if anyone can make a model up to back this. And it's my opinion that what we're living in cannot be recreated. If we could recreate what we were living in, then this almighty God creator, genius as is, would not be. If we could understand it, it would not be. Again, what we're trying to do is simply get to the root. We're trying to fill in the gaps as to where we live. We'll never know definitely. But in my opinion, this cannot be recreated. This cannot be reanimated, redone, maybe on a computer, but not in real life. If it's not good enough that we have technology backing what I'm saying, because again, it is just a theory until you have technology that's actually visually showing you the same phenomenon happening in our universe. Just as Tesla said, when we can connect our machinery to what's motivating the stars and the planets and everything to rotate in a wheel-working motion, we'll make advances in electrical engineering and everything far beyond our comprehension, which is what we have done, and this is why we're labeling things alien technology. To hover rocks is alien technology to us. And again, I don't have all the answers, but I have a basic concept or understanding. It's not that far out. It's electromagnetics. You generate a powerful enough field, you can lift things off the ground. Hover. That's UFO technology. That's apparently, some people think the pyramids were built with them levitating rocks up. I personally don't know. But I know it's possible. Through just that. Sound resonance. This disc right here, this green disc, bluish greenish disc right here, is where all the flat earthers say they live, inside of the Taurus field. And mind you, the Taurus field has two field modalities. This is something that you have to take into account. A Taurus field, because remember, we were made from the macrocosm. So if there's a principle in the macro, there's a principle to the micro. A Taurus field has in and out breath just like our lungs. convergent and divergent, convergent and divergent, in and out. So our lungs didn't copy, or this didn't copy us, we copied this. Everything that's applying to the universe applies to us. A torus field breathes just like our lungs do, and this is why I say we could be living in a much larger human being, a brain, a mind, who knows? But all that we know is there's two hemispheres and one central point just like there is in us. And there's not many people making that connection. Pineal gland, two hemispheres, two eyes. Central orb, two hemispheres. So your two field modalities right here are your convergent and divergent. So your convergent, I don't know if you guys can see this. And by the way, this is Ken Wheeler right here. These two graphs right here are done by Ken Wheeler. Copyright Ken Wheeler. If you have any other questions on this material, I'd suggest going on YouTube and looking up Ken Wheeler. But what I've heard and what a lot of people tell me is they don't understand what he says, because he does use a lot of big words, and it's not that he's using anything wrong or he's doing anything wrong. He's just that genius. He's using the right words. It's just some people have a hard time understanding him, even me. I sometimes have to really beat my brain to understand or try and get what he's saying. But what I try and do is take what he says and simplify it. I don't repeat it. I change it. I don't repeat it. I change it. I make it into my own words. But again, I try and simplify it because I couldn't repeat half the stuff that guy says. But he is geniusly brilliant. Anyway, convergent and divergent. So this disk right here is counter space. This is a void in space. It's empty. Everything that exists here has no volume or mass, meaning no definition, no shape, no form. And yet this is where flat earthers say they live. The red, again, I don't know if you can see that, but the red field that you see in the center there, that's your converging force that's converging in. This red that you see right here is this that you see here. Notice all the points are exploding or pointing to the center point, to the center. All the points are converging in. That's your converging force. In. This right here is exactly where NASA took the conception of a black hole. This is where they got the idea of a black hole. Things being sucked into a hole, into a torus field. If you go into this field of the torus, you will be sucked in. And then you have your opposite field, divergent, meaning it's diverging outward to create. Your converging force you can think of as death. You have to have death in order to have the new, the creation. So it's the same thing, in and out, death and life. So things are converging in while also diverging out, and that's your yellow lines here, your yellow and green lines pushing out from this void. So flat earthers say they live here, but nothing at all in this universe is expressed or has volume or mass until it is expressed outward through magnetism. So nothing can exist here, and this is what I'm trying to get through to flat earthers. This is a void, formless. Everything that here has no shape. It has not been expressed yet through magnetism. Magnetism is what gives everything volume and definition. And again, you have to feature in dimension with that. We can't live on a two-dimensional flat disk while living inside of a three-dimensional circle. It doesn't make sense. Again, our Creator is perfect. Perfection. Everything will match and be in sync and be perfect. It's not going to be, two-dimensional flat and then inside of a three-dimensional. And again, it cannot be ever proven. This right here is basically kindergarten on field theory. Anyone who's, again, you can get a ferrocell. You can study light propagation, which is one of the huge answers in understanding concave Earth and how light is bending. So that's one huge key right there. You can buy a ferrocell online. Study light propagation around magnetic fields, how a magnetic field can actually bend light. You'll see the light bending. And then apply that on a much larger scale again. So this is your magnetic field in a magnet. And it's pushing everything out from the center point. You notice that. So everything's diverging outward, which is creation, manifestation, outward from the center point. It's being expressed through magnetism. See, before you have a torus field like this, before you have a three-dimensional torus, you have a two-dimensional circle, just like flat earthers say. It is flat, yeah. Two-dimensional flat torus, which is dielectric. The whole field is dielectric until it experiences a loss of inertia, which is then expressed through magnetism, which magnetism, as I just said, is expressed outward. Magnetism is expressed outward, and dimension must be featured. So magnetism. Magnetism is radiation. It's the dielectric field, polarization, and creates space, and it's discharge. So that's what your magnetic field is doing. It's creating space. While your dielectric field, the flat disk that flat earthers live on, your dielectric field is counter space. It destroys space. Centripetal. That's your centripetal convergent right there. Everything is converging in, exploding in on this center point. Again, this is your black hole. This is your black hole sucking in. This is your creation, creating space, pushing outward. And that's what's holding us into the walls of this earth. Everything is pushing outward from the center. It's not collapsing in because we're not inside of this field, inside of the central field right there, that red part. We're being pushed outward. Everything that we're experiencing is being pushed out and away from center. Plasma ball. One central light source. One central light source. Cast out, equidistant to equal a sphere. The principle applies in every single thing. One central point, dimension. Dimension is always featured. Dimension. See, flat earthers can't get past the horizon's always straight or flat, and what grounds the waters. There's answers for this, and if you really, really want to know, you can research these things. You can look into them instead of repeating 8 inches per mile square. Show me the curve. Show me the curve. Stop expecting other people to show you and get to the root of it. Just get to the root. Dive straight in. Study light propagation. Look up Ken Wheeler. Get familiar with ether, magnetodielectricity, a torus field, the convergent and diverging forces. Hell, electrical engineering. Get familiar with that. Even Eric P. Dollard said this, but all of our electrical engineering was basically done, like killed, dead, after a certain point in the 1900s. And it's because Tesla invented free energy. He gave them everything they needed. We could be running trains, planes, cars, any type of motor with a magnetic motor. It's been done. There's reasons why it's not out to the public. There's reasons they're slowly releasing this crap. There's reasons Tesla cars just came out in the 2000s for profits. We cannot have self-sustaining energy when we need to make profits. Self-sustaining energy doesn't allow for business. Everyone should be having free electricity because, again, there is electricity every single place that we're calling space. This is what Tesla discovered. Because, again, we're inside a moving magnetic field. When you move a magnetic field, it generates an electric field. So there is electricity anywhere inside the earth. anywhere we're calling space. By polarizing the ether, you can extract it, pull it straight from the air. That's exactly what Tesla did, and he created an artificial thunderstorm or lightning storm that was so massive, he blacked out, I think, the state of Colorado. I think he was in Colorado, don't quote me on it. But wherever he was at, I'm pretty sure it was Colorado, he blacked out the entire damn city because he sucked so much lightning out of the sky. He created an artificial lightning storm through polarization of the ether. It's powerful crap, and this is why the government got their hands on it. It can be used for great and amazing things just as it can be used for the opposite. Horrifying things. Controlling the weather. Manipulation. Mind control. It can be used for horrible things, or it can be used for magnificent things that we read about. The pyramids, things that we have no idea how the hell they got built, why they're still standing. Things we cannot explain to this day. Here's some examples of light bending. This is a ferrocell. You're witnessing a magnetic field under light, under a ferrocell, which makes visible a magnetic field that we don't see with the naked eye. And if you notice, again, that's your centripetal convergent point. That central point where I said is like a black hole sucking everything in, that's why you see a hole there, because that's basically your black hole. That's the flat plane of inertia that flat earthers say they live on, the void in space. Nothing exists there. That's where flat earthers say they live, is this little 0 point. Where nothing has mass or shape. But what you'll see is it's actually taking the light and distorting it and bending it around this point. And if you've seen the radar maps of our North Pole, of satellites and airplanes, all of them fly around our North Pole. No one goes directly over it. You'll see the map lines and everything is going around that North Pole, that hole. They're avoiding it. And you got to ask why. It makes you ask. But this is how we're seeing our horizon right here. When we're looking straight up at the sky, straight up, we think we're looking straight up. But again, our idea of up is backwards, is distorted. Nothing is upside down in the concave earth. Remember, we live inside of it. Everything is being pressed in. So nothing is upside down. Even if you're up here, you're not upside down. You're pressed in looking up. When you look up into the sky, you're looking up into source. You're looking straight into source. And this is another reason I say it. So this is where sun gazing came from. Why do we sun gaze? We're looking through the sun into source, straight into the source. Just like this. There's one true light at the center, lighting our sun and moon. That's source. So when we think we're looking straight up, we're really looking at our horizon. Yes, it's flat. Yes, the horizon is flat, right? But you have to imagine this on a large scale. You're witnessing, this is your actual horizon. The whole horizon is actually bending this for you to see what you see. Our eyes do not take this in. But again, when you study light propagation, you see this is certain. And again, think about it. How would it work if we actually saw anything, if we saw any picture ever curved? Ever curved. That's not how a picture works. We've got to imagine it on a larger scale. And I spoke about this yesterday, but when the horizon always rises to your eye level, that's a grade A example that the light is bending up to meet your eye. How can a horizon, which is light itself, rise to meet the eye? If the horizon is moving at all, that's light bending. The question is which direction. If it's always rising to meet the eye, it's bending upward. And this is some German pictures. I'm not too positive what that says. If I have any German friends on there and you want to translate that, you'd be a saint. But yeah, that's an old picture, and basically what they thought about hollow Earth. The light is bending around, just like you see here. Sorry. Moon phases. There's your central orb, your black celestial sphere, and the light's bending around. Remember, your sun, moon, that's what these red lines are. That's your sun and moon. And the light's bending around. Everything unfolds from the point in the center. That's our hearing. That's how we hear. That's our eardrum. Everything's unfolding from a center point, from micro to macro. This was me about 7 months ago with my ferrocell. When I was doing videos on them, I had a magnet held up to the ferrocell, and I was showing people how it was bending the light, how it was distorting the light, just like you see here. This is a magnetic field pattern that's naturally produced. It's called the hypertrochoid. Naturally produced from a magnet. And this is something that we do not see. This is invisible to the naked eye. And it's mind-blowing that this is present in a magnet and you're not even seeing it with the naked eye. But that proves there is a force in nature we are not seeing. We are not taking in. This is what got Tesla so fascinated with magnets. He was obsessed with magnets, which got him into magnetism and everything else. He acknowledged that there is an invisible force to our naked eye we are not seeing, and it's very apparent. Magnetic attraction and repulsion. You can't see what's causing a magnet to attract. You just know it's attracting. Or repulsing, pushing away. But this is what's going on. Everything is a field. Coherent or incoherent. If it's coherent, they go together. If it's incoherent, they push apart. There's the Maori tribe. Ferrocell and a magnetic field lines there. And again, from micro to macro, we were created from the macro. So if this applies to the macro, this is going to apply to the micro. And that's why we have a one pole, our center point, right? And two hemispheres, positive, negative, male, female, right, left, two hemispheres always. It came from the universe. Oh, it says summer in German? Oh, bet. Thanks, bro. Yo. You can read that? Oh, summer. Oh, that makes sense, bro. It's only one letter off. Ah, man, I could have guessed that. Now I feel dumb. That kind of spells itself, don't it? Summer. Damn. I didn't even think about that. Summer. That was kind of obvious, I guess. Whoosh. See, look at that. From micro to macro. See the pineal gland? That's how intelligently designed and structured everything is. It's perfect. And that's why I say the micro and macro are one. You don't change one and have a discrepancy with the other. The two are one, so the same principles will apply. The same code to creation will apply. Here's a picture of a magnet I took under a ferrocell. I took this picture right here. I didn't take this picture of the sun, but I did take this picture of my magnet under a ferrocell. And I thought it was really cool how it produced the light spectrum, the color spectrum there. And then you look at the sun and it's producing the very same thing, the radiation. It's almost the same thing. Thought that was cool. There's a reason all planes have to fly up, nose up. You fucking cat, dude. What are you doing? There's a reason all planes have to fly nose up. Flat earthers love to say that the plane, if it was flying on a globe, would have to keep dipping its nose down to keep going around the globe, keep dipping its nose down to make up for its environment, right? Well, planes fly with their nose up to account for their environment. The faster the aircraft, the higher the pitch has to be nose up. So military planes have a higher pitch up because they're fast as hell. But I mean, it's rare they do that because most military planes are so damn fast, they're swerving and going all over the damn place. But if you were to take a plane and have it fixed straight for the whole flight, the nose would be pitched up the whole time. On a regular Boeing plane, the nose is slightly pitched back up the entire time. The entire flight, you're cruising, you're slightly tilted back. And that's the breakdown of a torus field. I put the snake there because that represents infinity. A torus field is self-sustaining. It'll run itself to infinity. Convergent, divergent, in, out, in, out, in, out. Life, death, life, death, life, death. Constant. This is where 0-point energy came from. We didn't have any idea what any of this stuff was until we didn't have any advances in technology even. Until we studied our universe. We got all this technology we've been given or we've created out of the universe. Just like we've gotten our very life, our very consciousness. We're alive because of the universe. Everything we have is out of the universe. If we have technology, if we have electrical engineering, if we have anything that's technology, it's created from our ideas from above, from the macrocosm. Yeah, Taurus can be self-sustaining. Or what I mean by that, just forever. Constant flux, constant flow, constant, forever. There's the flat earth Gleason map. All it was meant to be was a time chart. It was not an actual map of the earth. And this right here was just, again, a three-dimensional sphere being represented. If you were to take a picture of the concave earth from the North Pole, this is the picture you would get. If you were looking down from our concave earth at the North Pole, this is what you would see. Our planet's flat in that way. And we forget, we can only draw maps of our earth and our universe on paper, which is two-dimensional. So it's representing a three-dimensional sphere, but we can't know that. Flat earthers only assume this was a map of a flat earth. You're looking down at the top pole, and again, dimension, it has to be featured in creation. You're looking down at the top pole, and everything's flattened out. And this is your time chart. It lets you know what time it would be wherever you're at. I spoke about this yesterday. There's the feathered sun. The Germans believed in the black sun, which they said was at the center of our universe. The black sun, which was a ball of primal materia, they said, which had ether in it, a force in it, a life force in it. This is the same thing that the Indians also believed. The Indians called it the feathered sun. And again, if you notice, they've got lines pointing in, convergent, and lines pointing out, divergent. Convergent and divergent forces, in, out. That can also represent the chalice and the blade, male, female, in, out. The chalice and the male, the point. It can also represent that. That's pi that's pi unfolding from the center point, from the void, and then there's a human eye. I just overlaid a human eye on top of it. Because again, from micro to macro. This repeats itself to infinity. Forever out. And then again, you got the void in the center, which is why I put the human eye there. It's always a black void, black dot. Which is why it was put into our very eyeball. This is a code. This is a coding. That's why all of this on this chart right here go together. That's why you can look at all of this and it's all in sync. It's all showing you the same thing. This is how genius our Creator is. Everything connects. Everything is connected. But we've been flipped backwards now. And we're being led away from Source. I'm going to end this video because I got to hit the bathroom and finish my day. I don't want to go past an hour, which I think I did, but I had to do a round 2 real quick. I probably won't do another video for a few weeks, so if you have any questions, inbox me them. If not, leave any comments or whatever, feedback. Y'all have a good Wednesday. Thanks for watching.